Hello and welcome to Miss Snuffy's leadership episode during COVID-19. Someone on Twitter asked me to make one, and so here we are. I think it's a great opportunity actually to talk about leadership in light of the government's failures, I suppose, in leadership. And I feel bad saying it because I realize that this is an unprecedented pandemic, this is a crisis, and I want to be 100% supportive of them in what they're doing. On the other hand, I think it's a great opportunity for all of us in leadership to learn from their mistakes. And so the first thing I wanted to talk about was being seen. As a leader, it's really important to be seen. That's not just senior leadership. That's also heads of department, heads of year. You want your people to see you as much as possible. It's something that's been lacking from government. I think, for instance, that once a week is too little for Boris Johnson to be talking to the population. I think he should be doing that twice a week. I think that even in Roman times, you know, the emperors had their busts out everywhere because they needed to be seen. So I think on TV, government should be out there constantly giving us lots of information. I think billboards should be used with real vigor to explain what it is government want us to do. I think flyers indoors. I think those letters that went out right at the beginning was a really clever move on the part of government to make us all feel included and spoken to. They haven't done enough of that, and that's just about being seen. Now, what else? Clarity and information. I've spoken a bit about that. So, you know, in our schools, you know, your deputy heads need to be marching around and need to be seen by everyone. In particular, at moments of crisis, you need to be seen. Now, I'm not necessarily as head, actually. I'm not marching around the school. It's not my style of leadership. But you can be sure that if there's any kind of change going on, anything different I've asked to happen, I am everywhere because you need to be seen. And I'm giving lots of information, as are middle leadership, senior leadership. This idea that, I'm part of senior leadership team, so I've got information that you don't know and can't have. You don't want that. You want to give out as much clarity and information as possible so that people aren't confused, which is why I talk about billboards and flyers and so on, to make people understand what it is you want of them. It's one of the things that I'm struggling with government at the moment. I'm thinking, well, what do they want us head teachers to do? What else? Admitting mistakes. So I think this whole Dominic Cummings issue has happened because of the lack of leadership that is coming from the top. As a leader, you need to get your people behind you, and you need to all be singing from the same hymn sheet. So the senior leadership team at Michaela, we meet every day. And we do that so that we can have clarity amongst ourselves, and then we can then go out to the troops and make sure they are all clear and that we're all singing from the same hymn sheet. Now, obviously, running a school is a very different thing to running a whole country, but the same principles apply in leadership. In order to get people on board with you, you need to be clear, and you need to repeat it over and over again in different ways. So I say it at briefing, I say it at CPD, I put it in an email, I make sure the heads of department disseminate through their department meetings. Government right now, they need to be on the TV, they need to be on the radio, they need to be on the billboards, they need to be on the flyers, because some people don't watch the news. And if you don't watch the news, then how are you meant to know what's going on? Government need to be thinking about these kinds of details. So the Dominic Cummings thing, the reason why everyone's confused and why everyone's arguing is because we all don't really know what the guidance said. and that should be a big alarm bell for government, right? They should be thinking, gosh, well, how come all these different people are saying different things about what the guidance said? Now, my personal opinion is I think Dominic Cummings probably did behave within the guidance. Other people disagree, and I can understand why they do, because there is genuine confusion about what people were allowed and not allowed to do. Admitting mistakes. So what government, and Dominic Cummings in particular, should be doing right now is being less arrogant and saying, you know what, I should have been more clear. I wasn't as clear. I may not have broken the guidelines, and this is why I don't think I broke the guidelines, but I can see why people might think I did. And maybe government could say something, not just Dominic Cummings, but other people in government might say, yeah, we get it too. And we're sorry about that confusion. It's really important as a leader in a school, when I make a mistake, I stand up in front of everybody and say, I got that wrong. It builds trust. And that is something that the government doesn't have at the moment from many people, in particular in the teaching profession. And I understand why teachers are worried and don't trust the government. And the government needs to make a step towards teacher by giving them more clarity and more information, I think. Yeah, I mean, singing from the same hymn sheet. They all need to be saying the same thing. Why Boris's people are doing things that they shouldn't be doing, or at least they aren't clear about what they're doing, it's a sign of chaos at the top. That's what happens when there is chaos at the top. And I do know that I realize this has never happened before and it's very difficult for them, but they need to try and get that under their belt. And then lastly, you know, I would say that, you know, Churchill, somebody that Boris Johnson loves very much, you know, he was a great leader because he did all of these things and he led from the front. At the moment, I feel government are chasing the public and they're trying to do things to please the public whenever they have, you know, in whatever way necessary. And that is never a good idea as a leader. You need to make hard decisions and then lead at the front and move forward. And that is what Boris Johnson and his team need to do right now. And I don't see them doing that. And I feel this whole Dom Cummings issue has really just revealed the lack of leadership at the top. And I hope very much the government managed to get that back. In a school that's struggling, you will always look to the leaders and find something lacking. It's the same thing here in the country, and it shows just how important leadership is. So I hope that's of interest. I'm sure lots of people will, you know, criticize me for saying X, Y, and Z, and what do I know about leadership in government? But leadership is leadership. You know, you read books about the leadership of Chelsea football, or about the All Blacks, or about Apple. It doesn't matter. It's all the same principles. And I think government would do well to look at some of those principles of leadership now. Thanks. I meant to say something I've learned. Gosh, I learn so much every day now with all of this that's going on. I've learned in particular over the last few weeks that it is... it's during moments of crisis and during moments of change that you see strong leadership and what it can do. And that is what government need to try and do so that they can go down in the history books as a government that managed to take us through this crisis with success. All right. See you next time. Bye.